partnerships. I want to be married. I want to be loved. Someone's there for me. Someone's not there for me. You have all that drama around a need to be satisfied there or appreciated there. And when you're not, boy, it hits a deep nerve. My main effort is just to say it's not just positive. You're thinking both ways. You don't say, oh, it's just lucky. So, well, you're going to try to track things. But what happens when you get too much or when it goes wrong? You want to be able to think like that with Venus. Because usually when people are coming to see you, it's when things are wrong, not when things are proper. You're having to see the problem, emotional problem, and then how do you try and realign it a little bit or make suggestions to improve, to make someone feel better or like themselves a bit more. Trust. How, you're with a partner, do you have joint bank accounts or not? Or do you have a prenup? What's trust, what's not trust in sharing in relationships? Venus is going to want to have the trust, want to get things, not be nickeled and dimed about it. Morality, what's right or wrong? Who should be with who? You know, this is like, you can like a cousin, but you can't fall in love with a cousin that's too close in the bloodline. There's many people, there's a principle about what's right and what's wrong, and you want to be right about your choices. So you're trying to understand why your choice is right, or you might try to explain why your choice is right, or other people are judging how you make good or bad choices. That's 9th house. 10th house is about your status and career and your honor. You make good choices, you carry yourself, you pay for your own way, you pay other people properly, you get honored for being in a position of authority. You rip people off, and you get stingy about it, you'll get dishonor because you should be helping everybody if you have power. Same with friendships. Who do you pay? Do you show favoritisms to one or another? Does it fluctuate? Are you equal to everyone? Do you include everyone? You'd like to, but sometimes you like some more than others, and there's struggles about who's worthwhile, who's not. Who do you like, who don't you like, and how are you sharing? In the 12th house, it's even sometimes you have to go places even where you don't belong. Sometimes you have to hold your ground. You may believe in monogamy, but if you have one friend that's sleeping around and got 5 or 6 guys or girls, you know, like they're being, and you know, some, whoa, like you could say, well, do I do that or not do that? Or you might have someone else who's having an affair in a relationship and you know that when you like them. Or you're in a relationship you don't like and you're wondering if you should have the affair or how much you should talk about it. This is how the 12th house is trying to, how do you find the discontent and become conscientious and do something good out of something bad? Help others. Social conscience, help people, be dedicated. Sponsor be a big sister, sponsor an orphan in another country, help a food line, just something. You help other people, you build up your self-worth. And that's emotional conscious, but often the Venus here is caught seeing things that are wrong and having to take a stand as to, in their consciousness, whether they can be around that or not. And trying to be right oneself. So if you're doing something wrong, it'll get to your conscience. So if you have Venus in 12th, you're going to be very sensitive to overlapped relationships. And so it's not a good idea to have them. They'd only get worse. So there's a puzzle in each place, in each house. All of these things are meant, they're words. They're meant to just gateways or signposts. You have a sign for a restaurant, but the restaurant is its own energy. So it's just keywords to get your mind set in to look at it. But you have to reflect. This is emotions. This is Venus. This is attraction, repulsion. This is magnetism. This is not just one thing reinforcing those houses. It's a whole spectrum, a whole matrix of energy. So it's okay to be puzzled about it. These things come into you more and more as you go along. They sort of, Venus, the moon, these planets, they get you last. They sit in you and say, oh, that's that. You don't always say, oh, it's just this immediately. No, so it is very kind of tedious to work through each thing in each category and try and work it to see it. So I really concentrate a lot on the inner things, and the outer things, they fluctuate a lot more. They're just word associations. They're useful. They help to coordinate things, but they can be too narrow sometimes too. So the person is defining who they are. How happy you are or not happy you are is determining the state of your self-worth and your values. This is Venus. We get information from the database of the signs, and we get information from the database of the houses, and then we get more information from the database of the aspects. And then we start putting together and we start getting a whole eclectic picture that becomes much clearer than just the pieces. Right now, we're looking at the big pieces of all this, of all of it. So it's a puzzle. But as you get to know, so you rebuild this, and as you need to know, you'll start to come to know Venus more and more. You know, first you have to find them in your chart. Once you found it in your chart, and you see it at different ages, at different times, then when you're doing the worksheets, you can be thinking, how did I deal with that? How did I deal with that at preschool, or if you can remember, how did I deal with that in grade school? How was I in high school? How was I past high school? How was I in my 30s? Like, you put yourself at different ages and you see your Venus functioning in different ways. It matures, it evolves, and you see it in many different ways. So you can't narrow it in too much. Sometimes you'll see just a very gross image of Venus and it's blatantly there. Someone's just really, I don't know, they fat pigged themselves to a state of inertia, or they've overindulged themselves, or they're envied themselves, or they're obsessed with their Venus in a negative way, and it becomes someone's obsessed with someone, stalking someone, being obsessed with someone. They can't be with them. It's got to be mine. This is all negative Venus stuff. And really, when two people are together, if one person doesn't want to go to bed, it's not worth going to bed. When both people want to, then you can do one. But if one person doesn't, it doesn't matter what reason, it's not worth it. But boy, how many struggles come up over who's getting what they want. So it's not, I'm using words, but I'm just touching on the edge of this ocean of implications of Venus. And I don't think I can't get much more out of it for this run at it. But next week we're dealing with the sun, which is your confidence, your self-confidence, your sense of importance. Venus is your self-worth, your values, which have a big effect on how confident you can be, positive or negative. But self-confidence is different than your self-worth. How you value yourself is different than how you present yourself. So sometimes they work together and someone just has this charisma. Sometimes you don't. It comes out as repulsive. So we're not going through this. Venus is always attraction and repulsion. There's always a double side to it. And it's an intense double side to it, rarely peaceful. But the sun is a different thing. It doesn't have this, it's about radiating and where your confidence is. It's the living light. It's a much bigger, it's your ego, it's your importance. So we got to see how that's working through the houses next week. And yeah, so I hope it's working well for you, and you should be still working through your worksheets and trying to do them before a class rather than after, because if you're trying to figure it out for yourself before, by the time you come in and we go over to class, it's confirming, it's affirming, you're absorbing things a lot better. It's not about whether you did it right or wrong. It's making the associations, trying to make the connections, see how it works in your life. Then when you're coming and listening, you're just getting affirmations around it, and you're learning much more. So that's how I think the worksheets are really valuable, more than I listen to it and after. You can do it after the fact, but it's not the same thing. It doesn't have the same learning curve to it. Okay, so we're there. I'm about done. I'm going to end it here. Does anyone have any questions they wanted to write specifically? Oh, you've been holding, Sandra, you have a question. You've been holding your hand, raised hand for 79 minutes. Oh my goodness. So where do I look? Questions? I don't see a question. I can put it on, maybe I can put it on the voice. Where are we? Okay, Sandra, did you want to ask something? You're off, you're on, I put your speaker on. I can't hear you. Not attentive, okay. Okay, we'll just leave it here. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you next week. Okay. Blue moon this week. Okay, bye.